We are in Amman, Jordan, with the great Dr. Usama Fayyad, one of my role models and very dear friends. We're here to talk about kind of the Usama's entrepreneurial story and talk a little bit about your background and what you're doing now in Amman, Jordan, and in the U.S., etc. I'd like to kind of start with asking a little bit about your background and where you started. I understand you did one of the first PhDs in data mining from University of Michigan back in 1991. And it was a pretty important PhD. Could you explain a little bit about that in the background?
Yeah, I mean, I started out really in the science world, pretty much doing. I did a couple of bachelors in engineering and a master's in math and a master's in computer science, and then finally a PhD in computer science. And I happened to be working in the area of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and focused on the area back then. This is I finished my PhD in '91. This was focusing on dealing with very large data sets and making algorithms work fast. And it happened to be that my thesis was sort of one of the first PhD theses to come out in that new emerging area at the time that was called data mining.
Right.
And shortly afterwards we sort of formed the international conference on the topic, and now it's a big area of study known
Absolutely.
as data mining and knowledge discovery.
Right.
Yes.
And that helped spawn quite a lot of entrepreneurial ventures. And one of the first companies you started was Digimine,
Yes.
Which you ultimately sold. Could you tell our audience a little bit about that story, how you started the company? And
so after the PhD, I spent 7 years at JPL, Jet Propulsion Lab in Pasadena, California, in NASA, working on analysis of massive data sets, finding volcanoes on Venus from the Magellan data set, and working with astronomers at Caltech in identifying sky objects that are too faint for people to understand.
Right.
And there I learned a serious lesson about the power of these data mining and machine learning algorithms, in that even if you have very dedicated specialists, people who can spend their whole life studying a data set, these algorithms were able to solve problems they couldn't solve. And in fact, I'm actually published in astronomy. I probably have something like 15, 20 papers in astronomy.
Wow.
And I don't know much about astronomy other than I help these guys find high redshift quasars and new large structure in the universe and so forth.
Your nickname is Carl Sagan? Is it?
No. But in '95, Microsoft came knocking, and at the time I had no interest in joining Microsoft, but they basically asked the question that, hey, if your algorithms could help these very dedicated guys with data analysis,
Absolutely.
What do you think is happening in the business world, where they don't have anywhere near, nobody can afford to spend their lifetime studying one data set in business. And that sort of opened up my eyes, and I spent a few years at Microsoft migrating these algorithms to databases. So I was in Microsoft Research and transitioned to Microsoft SQL Server, which is their server division,
Right.
embedding data mining algorithms inside the database engine. At that time, this was '99, the entrepreneurial, after 5 years at Microsoft, I started, feeling like I'm being left out of the scene down in Silicon Valley and so forth. Startups were hot. It was the internet boom.
It's infectious.
Yes, and we wanted to do, it was myself and two other co-founders.
Were they at Microsoft as well?
They were also at Microsoft. Basil Oj, who was doing data warehousing and commerce server,
Okay.
and Nick Besbius, who was in charge of marketing
Right.
for MSN.
Okay.
So it was a nice combination where we said, you know what, nobody's understanding what's going on the web. Why don't we do web analytics taken to the next level, where we collect the data and we use it for targeting, and we do data mining in a hosted model. That was an ASP model. And we started a company called Digimine, which at the time we figured our customers are going to be the second tier companies, because the Fortune 500 probably have their own teams and so forth.
Right.
Like all entrepreneurs, we were wrong. It turns out that the Fortune 500 became our primary customers. It turns out their data picture was pretty broken.
So you pivoted
yeah,
to
we
that
definitely
customer base.
adjusted the model. And that was the time when, still, Google still had no business model, and people were still trying to figure out what to do on the internet, and people were trying to understand how to put online data with offline data. So that company, Digimine, raised a lot of capital for it very quickly. Our angel round was $4.5 million. Within 6 months, Mayfield came in with $20 million. Within another year, even after the internet bust, More Davidow came in with another $20 million. Wow. So it was a good run, and about 3.5 years into it, you reach that crossroads where the business is going. There's a very nice book of business, recurring revenue, because it's an ASP. ASPs have a problem, right? They take a long time before the cash starts coming in, but once it comes in, it's very steady. And with our board, we were having discussions around getting rid of another side of our business, which was doing professional services. So when you deal with the likes of American Express and Daimler Chrysler and Ford and all these big guys, you have to have these professional services. And VCs, as we all know, are not interested in that aspect of it. So that presented an opportunity to bring in another CEO to sort of keep Digimine, or Revenue Science at the time, going in the same direction that we put it on, while I had a chance to take that other business and spin it off immediately into a business that had a book of business with the top companies in the world, solving some of the hard data mining problems. And that gave me the chance to sort of try to also grow teams in an outsourced basis in the Middle East and in Eastern Europe and in Chile, because there was no talent in data mining, and you had to go seek.
What years was that?
This was 2000 and mid-2003.
Okay.
Well, the company grew much faster than we thought. Yahoo became one of our clients, and tried to buy us several times because they wanted the team and they wanted some of the technology.
Right.
I said no many times, because the lifestyle of having your own company with no investors was just a very good lifestyle, very good cash.
Right.
But by the time, it was like the 6th time they make the offer, I had also learned, and get this, I've been involved with the internet from its early days. I ran a web analytics firm with data mining and data warehousing.
Right.
I was doing behavioral targeting on the web in the early days. And I thought I understood the internet.
Right.
Getting that exposure through Yahoo opened my eyes up that there are so many other problems, deeper problems.
Right.
Like with these social network phenomena, what makes something grow, what makes it shrink, what makes it die. Search, I still consider search to this day in its infantile steps.
Right.
Typing in 2.6 keywords and getting 600,000 results, you look at the top 10, that is not the mode by which we are going to search and navigate the web, and it's not how it's going to get localized and so forth. Yet that is the model today. Same with economics. There were many problems in the economics of the web that are very poorly understood.
Right.
Problems that are worth billions of dollars, economic problems that are solved by engineers suboptimally. I mean, we could talk about Vickery auctions and how they work, and why Google and Yahoo and Microsoft are all using the wrong mechanism theoretically, and there's a whole other. So that opened up my eyes that, my God, this is a whole other area which I don't. If a guy like me doesn't understand it, then it's got to be much deeper.
So Yahoo tried to buy you 6 times.
Yes,
they were very persistent. Were you playing hard to get, or you actually were? I was interested in building the company and wanting to wait, and so what ultimately changed your mind? What
changed my mind was, so I liked Yahoo a lot, but my model was, look, I'll help you, I'll consult with you, I'll help you solve some of these hard problems, but I don't want to be in there sort of doing the management and so forth. What changed my mind was, and life when you're running your own company is beautiful, right? So you really don't. What changed my mind was that realization that these fundamental problems that are worth billions of dollars are going unsolved or solved in solutions that are way suboptimal for problems that are worth, search is a $75 billion business today, right? And yet I could sit with you here and tell you about fundamental problems in search that are actually solved, we know, that are solved economically the wrong way.
The wrong way.
So, that really opens up your eyes and sort of says, okay, there's a huge opportunity here.
Maybe those are areas we can angel invest in.
Absolutely, absolutely.